All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of Let's Talk About It, Student Counseling with Friends. My name is Herb. I'm one of the therapists here in Counseling Services. And today's friend is Carol Griggs, who is with Student Health Services. So before Carol introduces herself, just to remind you that in Counseling Services, we are still open. So we're doing web booking now. So if you want to set up a new appointment, you can do that. If you want to reach out to a therapist you've already seen before, you can do that. We're doing Zoom sessions, we're doing phone sessions, so we're still going strong. And so if you want us, we're still here for you. And so just to get that out the way and let you know what we're doing, but we got our friend today, my friend, somebody I definitely look up to, big sister like, since I've been here at UAB, and it's definitely very helpful to me. And Carol, go ahead and introduce yourself to the
well, Herb, thanks for having me. So I'm Carol Griggs. I'm the Administrative Director of the Student Health Services Clinic. And so I work in the Student Health and Wellness Center. I've been here probably for about 5 years now. And my responsibilities include, facilities, budgets, pretty much anything related to finance. There are operational things that I'm over as well, and really just serving as a resource for students in any way that I can with regards to insurance, billing, just questions in general about health education, clinic health education, that is, health literacy and all those things. And so, yes, I'm really glad to join today.
All right. Well, you have some responsibilities, and you are definitely a go-to person for staff and students.
Yeah, I try to be.
So just let's talk about that. Like, with what, the services you all provide in general, how is that the same or different since COVID has hit the scene?
Yeah, so, I mean, with any, primary care setting that you have, the vast majority of your services are going to be things that you do on site, right? Because you actually have people that are coming in to be seen for, provider appointments, shots, all those kind of things. And so, with COVID, we've had to transition to this virtual world. And, what does that look like? Well, there's an element of it that can transition to virtual. And so now we do actually have provider appointments that are available that are virtual appointments. And so a student can schedule an appointment, they get a link sent to them via email, they get a call right before that appointment to kind of confirm that they're checking in, and then they have to click on that link, and then they're in their visit with their provider from the comfort of their own home, which is great. But the caveat is that if they need lab, x-ray, or any of that kind of stuff, they got to get out of those jammies, put some real clothes on, and come into the clinic so they can have that done. And so we're still we're functioning in both worlds. I mean, I'm in my office.
Yeah, you look pretty essential over there right now. Looking really essential right now.
So we're still here. We do have a couple of appointments on site that still kind of happen daily, especially with students that have like allergy shots or anything like that. But we have tried our best to kind of encourage students to use the virtual visits. And even when they're here on site, we do ensure that they abide by social distancing. And so we have, these kind of social distance stickers on the floor, like, 6 feet apart. And so we're trying to encourage it, but we know, in the world of healthcare, you still got to kind of do things on site. So, yeah.
Do you run into like any resistance or having to like remind people like 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet?
Actually, I will say that with coronavirus, so, coronavirus, COVID-19 is new, but coronavirus itself really isn't new. You see coronaviruses every year, right?
Yeah.
This particular strand is what's been so concerning. And so what you actually see in healthcare every year really is that when students are sick, they don't want to be around people. Yeah. They don't want to be close to anybody. And so even when they come here in our clinic, we've never really had to deal with students bunching together a lot anyway, because they don't feel good. And so now we're really just kind of seeing that same dynamic. Like when they're here on site, they really don't want to be close to a lot of people anyway. And so we haven't really had to enforce it, but we do have the stickers as a reminder.
Yeah. I know when I'm in like Dollar General or Lowe's and the stickers on the ground, like people blow by, so stickers like they're not even there.
Yeah. But
like,
those are
hover over me.
Yeah, those are in settings though where social distancing, you have to like mentally be reminded, right?
Yes.
But when you think about when you go to your doctor's office, the closest that you get to people is typically going to be in whichever chair is closest to them. It's not because you're like going trying to hover next to people or stand right behind them in the check-in line. No, you give people typically 3 feet anyway.
Yeah.
And so now people are just, I mean, they're really giving folks that 6 feet. I mean, we run into it when they're talking to our staff, they get really close. But in the world of healthcare, you're just going to run into that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I know when I go to the doctor's office and I scan that waiting room, I'm just like, I'm sitting way over there.
Right. Right. That's the thing. Like you somewhere along the line, we were mentally trained to stay away from people when we're sick or when we think they're sick. And so when you go to the doctor, you're keeping your distance.
Oh yeah.
So we haven't really, now our staff, I will say we have a really loving staff that, you know, they enjoy being around each other. And so our staff is really where we have to say, all right, guys, 6 feet.
Yeah.
But other than that, when the students come in, we really haven't had that problem.
Well, that's good. Good. So what's been one of the biggest challenges, I guess, with the transition?
Are you saying transition as far as business? Like
I guess going to like the telehealth model or whatnot.
Yeah. I think the biggest transition was more infrastructure. So since we're here, you know, student health functions on the kind of what we call the campus side, right? And then you have this kind of AMC side, which is the big UAB hospital side. You're dealing with 2 separate kind of infrastructures in the midst of all that, and us trying to, you know, really somewhat piggyback on what they're already doing was probably the biggest challenge. We have to be careful with the things that we use, because when we're dealing with students, I mean, really that falls in a category that we would call FERPA versus, you know, things they do in the hospital more so fall under HIPAA. And so we just have to make sure, you know, that all of the tools that we're using and, you know, the links and all that kind of stuff, all of it falls into that kind of FERPA category, but still is HIPAA protected. And so just kind of transitioning the infrastructure was more probably the most difficult thing. But once we got that kind of, you know, managed with a couple of our providers that actually jumped on to kind of get that organized, it wasn't too difficult.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things we've noticed in counseling too, is like once you got the infrastructure established,
right,
and then got into the flow of actually doing it and seeing it take place, and it's like, okay, this is doable.
Yeah.
So used to like person-to-person interaction. Because so many things you get in person that you're not going to get over the phone or even over Zoom.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, body changes, you know, body language, just, you know, the comfort of knowing that this person's right across from you. So you feel like you have more control in the situation.
Well, I think the difference too between like counseling and health is that in counseling, you know, when people come and see you guys, you really do. I mean, even me personally, if I need to see a counselor, I want to sit down with somebody, right? And so it is hard to mentally transition to having that virtual presence when you're so used to being able to have that just in-person kind of contact. In health, when you're sick, you're sick. You just want somebody to give you your prescription or
fix it right
tell you what you need to do to feel better. And so we didn't really run into like a major issue, at least I don't think, with student adaptation. It was just more so we changed methods and we changed process. But it didn't seem like it really, we might have had like a 1 week kind of, okay guys, what are we doing? But then after that, I mean, it felt like everything just set into a new normal.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Good. So how about you personally? Like, what's it been like for you? Well, you're still coming to work. So, I mean, it's like, it didn't seem like a lot has changed. But...
Yeah. Well, so we're on somewhat of a limited business model too. We have this rotating schedule where, you know, we come in like every 3rd day. And so we have 3 separate teams that report to work. And so I don't come to the office every day. I'm working every day. But I'm not in the office every day. I do work 2 days. Well, I guess about 3 days a week from home. I mean, it's been okay. So within my family, we have homeschooled our kids before. For maybe about 5 years, we homeschooled.
Yeah.
And then they went to a school this year. And so it's funny, last year they were homeschooled, and then this year they went to school, and they're just like, we're back in homeschool. And so my 15-year-old has really been humorous there. It hasn't been too bad though. The good thing about this time around is that their schools, you know, provided the like their homework and their schoolwork and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, my kids are a little bit older. And so that helps. I have a 15-year-old and a 7-year-old. And even my 7-year-old, she just she piggybacks on the schedule of my 15-year-old. And so it hasn't been too strenuous. I mean, but at the end of the day, they're kids. So it is what it is, you know?
Oh yeah, this morning, my 4-year-old, she was refusing to get her tablet to do ABC Mouse. That's her thing.
Aww.
And it was in full protest.
Yeah.
I'm like,
so I'm curious,
I'm not doing it.
How did you resolve that? I'm curious.
I was like, you're going to stand right here until you get this pad.
Until you can log in, right?
Get to work.
Yeah.
And then she takes off running around the house, and then I go chasing her around the house like a maniac.
Oh, at least you got some exercise in though, right?
Yeah, I know, right? I'm sitting there turning
side.
corners around the house like I'm, like a running back. If she's stubborn and I'm stubborn, I'm like, you're not gonna win.
Hey, I feel you. I have days like that with my kids where, you know, they have something that they want to do and they just don't want to. I get it more out of my 7-year-old, of course.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, Mommy, no, I'm supposed to be able to, watch PJ Masks, like not do math, right? But yeah, we do the same thing. I was laughing though at your you running around the house. One of the biggest challenges I think that I've probably experienced in this whole limited business model is just kind of this sedentary state that you're in at home, where you're just sitting all the time in front of a computer. Yes. I mean, it's like your eating habits don't change, right? Because you still eat breakfast, lunch, dinner with those 2 fruit snacks in the middle, right? But you're sitting down way too long. Like I look at my Fitbit some days and I'm barely hitting 1,000 steps. And I usually hit, anywhere from 14 to 15,000. And that's a huge thing. Like I've been having to really figure out how to get my fitness in. I have we have a small, fitness center at home, which works. And it's not major. It's a treadmill and some weights. Like it's not, I don't want you to think, it's major.
Like a hotel gym.
No.
A CrossFit gym at the house.
No, it's a treadmill. It's a treadmill with some weights. But really just, making sure that I'm intentional about that. Because we're sitting down way too long.
Yes, let me tell you, like, of course, when everything first hit, I didn't go berserk like I think a lot of people did.
Sure.
But I had my level of berserk that I went. I mean, definitely. Yeah. And because I got to buy snacks. I can't leave the house for 2 weeks. What they're telling me, buying all this stuff, and I'm stressed out from what's going on myself, and I'm eating my kids' snacks like I'm 5 years old. And
we all did it.
And I'm working out. I work out pretty much every day.
Sure.
But, working out for 30 minutes and then it's getting just steps throughout the day is 2 different things.
It is.
If I just work out and then I don't move any more the rest of the day, I think you need a combination of 2.
Yeah.
So, and then eating habits and stuff like that. Like I did my 10-day green smoothie cleanse. I finished last week.
Okay.
Because I had to I was like, this is this is out of control.
I'm with you. I've had to literally replace lunch with a protein shake because I'm like, yo, I can't intake 2,000 calories right now if I'm only getting in 500 steps. Now I did start doing very recently, just started doing some HIIT workouts just from YouTube, right? Yeah. And so I cleared out the little, place in our downstairs gym area.
The gym.
The
gym life.
Yeah. And I started doing that, and that I can feel it, but I feel like I need to do it multiple times a day just to even get.
Just to even it out.
Yeah.
You can get one of them treadmill desks at the house, the desk that stands up and got the little treadmill at the bottom.
Just walking on it, yeah. Well, so my laptop that I use for work, I can turn it into a tablet, and there is a tray on my treadmill, and so I actually am going to try that tomorrow. To see if I can
just walk on a very low grade. You can't hit it at 3.5. It ain't gonna work.
Yeah. Let's have a follow up to this. I'm gonna let you know how that turns out.
You want them internet videos when home exercises go wrong and you just go roll. Want to be that?
Yeah. I can see that now. That'll be awful.
Yeah, that's definitely been a challenge, man. Like just how to, eat at home and be at home and try
Yeah,
to find movement.
yeah,
Because I think some days like I'm just gonna walk through the neighborhood and I'm just like, no, I'm
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Like
It's so
I'm
easy to
good.
talk yourself out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Um,
I got my workout in today. I'm good.
yeah.
'Cause on campus, it's just so easy. Like if you go to the Hill Center twice in a
And
day,
you've
you
gotten,
knock out a lot of steps.
yeah. And it's not even necessarily intentional is the thing, right?
Mhm.
Because you're on campus and you might have to actually run to the Hill Center for an errand, or you might have to, run over to this building just to drop something off or whatever.
Mhm.
And so at the end of the day, you've gotten, even if you weren't trying, you've gotten 10,000 steps, right?
Exactly.
But even
Exactly.
now, like there's nobody here, nothing is open. And so I'm on
Yeah.
site and I'm literally at 2,147 steps. And I've been here since 7:30 this morning.
Man, so it's really like a ghost town on campus right now, huh?
It is. It is. Even in our clinic, I mean, it's really like a ghost town because there's only a third of our staff here. And so, I mean, we would
Mm.
typically have 43, 44 people here. And
Yeah.
it's like there's 13 of us here right now, I think.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine like just seeing UAB right now and like seeing like them desert dust balls rolling across the
Yeah.
green.
Tumbleweed. Yeah.
Tumbleweeds, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I say that. And honestly, it's not that it didn't feel that empty because we have the hospital right across the street from us. And so like
Hmm.
even if you go to like our parking deck, you still see all the traffic trying to get to the hospital and stuff. And so
Yeah.
it doesn't feel that empty, but all of our people on the campus side, yeah, that's tumbleweeds, just
Tumbleweeds.
wind blowing, no
Like
people.
random grass growing in places it wasn't growing before, like in the middle of the road or something.
Yep,
It's like
yep. You really start to appreciate how much the guys that the folks that keep up on the grass and stuff, you really start to appreciate them when you started to see it like it is right now. It doesn't look bad,
yeah.
but you can tell it's growing and they're not out there every single day.
Yeah.
um
And the
and so
pressure to
yeah,
keep it up ain't the same. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing to think about. Like, because when campus closed, it was right before spring break, right at
yeah,
spring break, and it was,
yeah,
it was busting at the seams,
yeah.
and then nothing. You know, yeah,
I think a
that's
lot of it relates to though. So like all of the grass and all that kind of stuff, they've been keeping up on that regularly, even with everybody not really being here. But I think they might have reduced their schedule, and so they're
yeah,
not. They used to be out there like every day. I think now it might be like every 3 days. But you can
yeah.
tell those 2 days that they're not. You can like actually see the growth. Um, and so I've just never paid attention to it until now.
I think that's a takeaway a lot of people have is what you notice more of now that you didn't notice before,
Yeah,
because they're like it's this overall forced sit down,
yeah,
and when you everybody and individually when you're forced to sit down, you notice more things.
yeah.
But when it's like everybody's kind of forced to stop, and like you just notice stuff
You
more and
do.
more.
You
And
do.
yeah, so that's interesting. So
I mean, the whole
go
world
ahead.
is slowed down. It's just an interesting dynamic to watch the entire world because
Yeah,
it's not just us. Like the entire world has, as you said,
yeah,
are sitting down, just slowed down. Um,
yeah. A
yeah,
buddy of mine posted a while back. He lives in Savannah, Georgia,
yeah,
and so me and my, it's hard to, the world exists outside of you, but you just think
hmm,
about what exists in your circle. So I
sure,
was at the Walmart by my house, and it's like a movie theater and a Ross and a Marshalls and all these different stores, and then Walmart and Big Lots are the only things open, and all these other things are closed. I'm thinking like,
yeah,
my God, such and such and such.
yeah,
He's like in Savannah on his daily run and comes up on this like really usually happening area in Savannah. He was like, whole area shut down. And it just made me think so far outside of myself at that moment.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody's like just at this one moment, just like go home.
yeah.
And
It's
but then
yeah.
things are reopening, so it's like I drove by the dentist office this morning, and it was like like they had like a flash sale or something. There was so many
Right.
cars out there.
It's funny you say that. My dentist office has called me 4 times today because my 15-year-old had an appointment, and they're like, "We can get her in tomorrow, 7 a.m." And I'm like, "No,
It's like we need that
okay."
business.
Right. Like, no, I don't think we're ready just yet. Her teeth seem okay.
Yeah, like, we ain't doing anything. We're good. I promise you.
Yeah. But no, you're
Yeah,
right. I mean, it's easy. for us to live within ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
to really only experience our immediate environment. And often it's a difficult task for us to get kind of drawn out of ourselves, right? For us to really think
Mm-hmm.
about that bigger picture and what else is going on in the rest of the state, in the rest of the United States, and the rest of the country, and the rest of the world. But right now, with everybody sitting and, with the news on all the time and everybody on the COVID trackers,
Yeah.
you have no option but to get outside of yourself. I mean, even though you're stuck like in your home, and I
Yeah.
shouldn't use the word stuck, but you're in your home, or you're,
Yeah.
in wherever you are, you're constantly being sucked into the rest of the world because you want to know what's going on with the world, because that now dictates what happens to you. That
Mm-hmm.
dictates, when you can get back out and when life will kind of resume. And so it's an interesting time, actually. There's a good chance that, when we first come out of this thing, that people are going to be a lot more cognizant of what's going on in the rest of the world. Human
Yeah.
nature, though, it probably won't last long, right? We forget really quickly.
I don't know if it's just me, but I was just thinking the other day that I don't see the president or Dr. Fauci as much as I was 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think, and no matter what it is, like it goes from like breaking news to the bottom of the news ticker at some point.
It's just a rolling thing, right? Like you're right, you don't see them as much. Yeah. I mean, it's becoming part of the background now. Like
And
it's
it doesn't
reality.
need to. Yeah, it doesn't need to, but that's the reality of what we live in.
It
And
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you do to cope with all this? Because you have a 15-year-old, that 7-year-old, my 7-year-old definitely knows that a virus exists.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
how do you manage all this and then manage yourself?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a bit of a spiritual person, so I make it a point on a daily basis to draw myself out of, kind of the situation and current reality, to really focus on kind of this bigger reality that exists for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's through, reading scripture, prayer, all those kind of things, because that's my personal lens.
Mm-hmm.
And even within my family, that's something that we often use. And so, when we do have family prayer, when we have family discussions, we're looking at it through kind of that bigger lens in and of itself. And that helps me. That's my coping mechanism, right? I recognize that not everybody can use that, but that is definitely something that we rely on. The other component that we use too is just making sure that we accept and understand reality as reality actually is. And so, like with my
Mm-hmm.
kids, we don't necessarily try to paint the picture prettier than it really is. And so we have explained to our kids, like, no, this is a virus. It's probably going to be with us for a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't know what next year is going to look like, and that's okay, right? It's not. I know that my kids typically look at the adults and assume the adults have to have the answer because you're
Mm-hmm.
adults, right?
Yeah.
And you got to be able to answer. But with my kids, we're very clear, like, no, I don't have an answer. And even you look at Fauci, he didn't have an answer. None of us have an answer because, as Ethan,
Mm-hmm.
as he said, the virus is going to dictate what happens next. And so with my kids, they've become kind of very personal with this virus, and knowing, like, okay, the virus is actually in control and it's not us. And that kind of helps them to put it in perspective, because that helps them to accept the fact that we don't know how the fall is going to look, and all those kind of things. And so that's kind of how we cope. I mean, my 7-year-old now calls the virus Rona. So it's become
Rona.
very personal. Rona, okay.
Rona. That name been there for a while. Rona.
I didn't know.
I
was in
don't
the
know how much
kitchen
of a
one
social
day.
media you are, but yeah, Rona been on the scene.
So I don't really do a lot of social media.
Yeah.
But I was in the kitchen recently, and actually it had to be a couple weeks ago, and I sneezed. And my 7-year-old was like, "Mom, you got Rona?" And I was like, "What is Rona?"
Man, yeah, but we'll take something and give it a nickname and a heartbeat. So
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
Rona.
she's done it. Yeah, Rona, you got that Rona.
That Rona. And one day I was walking out of Sam's, and the lady who stands at the door and was checking the receipts, like, started coughing, and I'm walking up, and she looks at me, and I look at her, and I'm not trying to be the one to be like, So I just started laughing to kind of like diffuse the moment.
Sure.
He was like, I promise you it's allergies. Promise.
Yeah, I feel like that has to be the phrase that follows any cough, any sneeze, any like runny
Yeah.
nose, water your eyes. You gotta say it's allergies, because if you don't, I mean, you don't know.
It's like
So
went
everybody's
down
like
the wrong
keeping their
pipe.
distance.
It's like, no,
Yeah.
it didn't.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, one of the things we talk about in counseling is that, control what you can, control the
Yeah.
controllables, and
Yeah.
recognizing like, okay, this is outside of my control. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen with school in the fall, with this and that and the third.
Sure.
And so a whole new level of controlling what you can is definitely take place. And,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways that can be like trying to institute some structure in your life where life is now more unstructured than it's probably ever been.
Yeah.
What you consume on TV or social media,
Yeah.
how you connect with others and the importance of that, being intentional when you do so.
Yeah.
And, finding ways to control what you can. Because like you said, you focus too much on all these things that you cannot control, the news, and the president, and what the CDC saying, and whatever random Facebook story somebody shares, is like, you'll be in a whirlwind of just anxiety and just stress.
Yeah. Yeah. Like even when you think of, similar to what you're saying, control what you can, but just kind of the layers of changeability, like within Bronfenbrenner's, ecological model. You recognize very quickly that this is something that's totally, totally, totally outside of the scope of what you have impact to change. And once you recognize, where this kind of lies on that model, you learn how to change you in the midst of it rather than trying to change it. And so I think, for me personally and for my family, I think that's really what we've worked on, is just, okay, how can we change in the midst of all of this? Because we can't change all of this. And so how can we be better people while we're going through all of this? And so I think that's a good, healthy way of approaching it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great.
Yeah. It's always good to
this
talk
was
to
special.
you.
I even wore an actual like shirt today. Like it's been.
I see it. Yeah, I was going to talk about
I got
your
on
lace
gym
jacket.
shorts. I didn't go all the way.
Right.
All the way
only to a certain level, right? Only to a
yeah,
certain point.
right here. This could be a cutout shirt. You don't even know.
It's part of. Yeah, I hear you. I came in the office. I couldn't wear my gym shorts, but I feel your pain.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if I throw on some pants, it's gonna be a good day. Otherwise, like it's gym shorts, and So, but so we're gonna play a game. It's called One Gotta Go.
Right.
Have you ever in your life eaten cereal?
Syrup?
Cereal, like Cheerios.
What? Cheerios.
Right.
Yeah.
Cereal.
Cereal in general. Yeah. Okay,
all right. So the game is One Gotta Go.
Okay.
And so the goal is, out of the 4, you're going to choose 3 to stay.
Okay.
Now, the way we play it is you start with the first one you're going to keep. And the last one is the one you're going to get rid of. All right?
Okay.
And so you'll explain why you're going to keep it and everything, like what's your thoughts in going into it.
Okay.
And whatnot. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see the 4 cereals.
Okay. All right. So I say the one that I'm going to keep, and then I
we'll
say
go
the one I
back
want to
and
get rid of.
forth. Yeah,
okay.
We'll go back and forth. All right.
Okay.
All right. So you see that?
Yes.
I don't see me over here in the sidebar, but I see you.
I see you.
Okay. All right. We're good.
Right.
Okay. All right. So one gotta go. We got Frosted Flakes, Captain Crunch, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and Apple Jacks.
Okay.
So tell me, or tell us, what's the first cereal you're going to keep and why?
Frosted Flakes, man, come on. So, I'm just saying, come on. I'm from Mississippi, backwoods, barefoot, red dirt. Everybody has had Frosted Flakes that they grow in my house out back by the chicken coop. Come on now, I got to keep
chicken coop.
By the chicken
coop. Talking
my
language. Red dirt, chickens and pigs.
Man, barefoot. Come on now. Frosted Flakes. They go way, way, way back with me. Yeah,
Yeah,
gotta keep them.
I'm the same way. Frosted Flakes, man. And even corn flakes, you just add some sugar to it, and you make your own
Right.
frosted.
Exactly.
And sugar and
Exactly.
water, and sugary milk. I mean.
Or sugary water, just depends on the last time you went to the grocery store. Who knows?
Hey, let me tell you, when I was a kid, and I tell folks this, man, when we ran out of milk, you got some of that pet milk.
Right.
Pour some pet milk in the bowl and add some water to that.
Yeah.
You needed some sugary cereal to make that pet milk work, but it worked.
Man, what you said.
Can of
Yes.
pet milk.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think I'm gonna go with Frosted Flakes too, man. Like,
okay.
you catch Frosted Flakes when you first put that cereal in the bowl, when it's still kind of crunchy.
Yes.
And Frosted Flakes,
Yes.
man.
I mean, it just takes you way back to like this warm and fuzzy time in childhood, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody loves Frosted Flakes. Like it just,
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yes, everybody. I mean, my kids now, man, especially
Yeah.
Haley.
Yeah.
She'll test some Frosted Flakes up.
Yeah, like even if and Frosted Flakes, it's like you can, after a workout, right? You just need like a little snack, but not really anything too heavy, like a little bowl of Frosted Flakes, get that nice balance of kind of the corn and the sugar, like it's not too much.
Not too much.
Right.
Let me tell you, I ain't never had a little bowl of Frosted Flakes in my life. I use Tupperware bowls. I don't even use the bowls that come in the dish set. Straight Tupperware bowls for any cereal.
I feel you.
I don't even use the little spoons. I use the spoon up, like the bigger spoon. You get like 2 sets of spoons in the
I feel you.
dishes.
I feel you. I feel you. It
Yes.
always hits the spot. Always.
Man, that's like dinner. It tastes better at night than it do in the morning time.
Right. Like right at midnight, or like when you get up for that glass of water that becomes a bowl of cereal.
Comes a bowl of cereal.
2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I'm with you all the time. Yeah.
If I'm trying to be health conscious, I say I'm gonna choose the Cheerios.
Right.
The Cheerios, they're heart healthy.
No, even when I'm trying to be health conscious, I still do Frosted Flakes. I just make it a smaller bowl.
Smaller bowl. There you go. Now they've reduced the amount of sugar in Frosted Flakes.
I know, actually.
You can taste the difference.
Article on it. You can taste the difference.
Yes.
Yeah. If anyone from Kellogg's is watching this, for people like me that absolutely love Frosted Flakes, I need you to increase your sugar content back to where it was previously.
They just create like a separate box.
Yeah. So
original.
Exactly. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need that sugar crust all the way around the cornflake.
I'm with it. All
right. So what's the next one to stay?
Next one to stay. Probably for me personally, it would probably fall somewhere between Captain Crunch and Apple Jacks, but I'm leaning more towards Apple Jacks. I don't know though, because the only reason I don't really care for Captain Crunch too much is because the actual crunch berries, and they're so sweet. They often make my stomach hurt if I have, the amount that I actually want. So probably, which probably isn't on the cereal, it's probably on me, right? Yeah, but I'd probably say, but it looks like, wait, yours don't have the berries, right?
I like the original Captain Crunch, yeah.
Yeah,
the crunch berries, it's the Captain Crunch.
That didn't have the berries. Okay, so I can do Captain Crunch. I can keep the Captain Crunch.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to roll with you on the Captain Crunch, too. Now, Captain Crunch will tear the roof of your mouth up.
Yes, they do.
But it's worth it.
They do, until, thankfully, the top of your mouth heals really quickly, right? And so, when you eat it, it's usually recovered by the next morning when you get ready for your next bowl.
Yeah. And if you want it, protect your mouth, you let it get a little soggy. It's a little bit.
Let it sit in the milk, and if you need to expedite that process, you can just kind of slide it in the refrigerator for about 4 minutes, make it nice and mushy, take it out, you're good.
Giving that game out. That's a Mississippi game right there.
See? Hey, I know how to do it.
Yeah, I'm a Captain Crunch fan. I like the crunch berries. I like the peanut butter Captain Crunch. I don't know if they make that anymore. I like that one too.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Captain Crunch. So Captain.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next? think I already know your answer though, but go ahead.
Apple Jacks. Yeah.
Apple Jacks, yeah.
Apple Jacks. Yeah, I can't do Cinnamon Toast Crunch. They're really sweet. They're really sweet.
It does something weird to the milk too.
It does. Like you start getting those little sprinkles, cinnamon things that are floating around, and then you know how everybody drinks their milk. Well, I don't know if everybody does this, but I always wait, until the very end.
Yeah.
To drink the cereal milk, and it just makes it taste, too cinnamon. Cinnamon me.
Yeah.
Too much.
And I like the flavor of cinnamon. I don't dislike the cereal, but Apple Jacks, that's a classic, man.
Oh yeah.
Man, that's a classic. I love Apple Jacks.
You and me both. You and me both.
Now, if you got to choose between Apple Jacks and Fruit Loops, what's it gonna be?
Oh, I got to go with Fruit Loops. I love Apple Jacks, but I just remember Fruit Loops I don't even feel like Apple Jacks was out when I was a kid because I never saw them. They could have been. My family probably just didn't buy them. But we have Fruit Loops. The big bag that you get. That really aren't Fruit Loops. They just say like fruity loops.
Loops of fruit.
Loops of fruit, right? That's what we had. But yeah, I loved them. Yeah, so I have to go with
Let me tell you, I can buy some great value, members mark, like store brand stuff. When it comes to cereal, man.
Yeah, gotta get the original.
I remember one time when I was in college, me and my buddies, we were like, pulling our money together. It was like, okay, we're gonna buy this, we're gonna buy this.
Sure.
You mess around and brought some off-brand cereal. We was like,
no, I gotta take it back. So interestingly, when I was a kid, I actually did. My family bought the loop, the fruity loops.
Yeah, Fruit Loops. Whatever.
Great value, right? But when I was in the military, one of my roommates bought some actual Fruit Loop. I was like, this is what I've been missing my whole life.
Yeah, it didn't taste good.
I was like, I can't believe I was deprived of this. Right? These are amazing. Never turned back. Yeah, never turned back.
Yeah, I can't even fool myself and try to get, the Frosted Flakes with the little snowman on the front. Can't even fool myself with it.
It's just not the same. It's not the same. I'll do it every once in a while and mix the two. Like, how you buy those big cereal containers where you can pour the cereal into the container. And so I can get like the bag of one and the box of the other and mix the two to make it last longer. Yeah. And it's okay. It's not exact, but it's okay.
You ever mix two different cereals together and eat it?
I did that last night. And
that's why we cool, man. That's why we cool.
Last night I had some Fruity Pebbles, Frosted Flakes, and Corn Pops. It was it was delicious. So my oldest daughter loves Corn Pops or Corn Puffs, whatever they're called. And when I mixed it together, and I don't know if it's the order that I mixed them in. It could have been, the Fruity Pebbles were on the bottom, kind of marinating in the milk, and then I had like that layer of cornflakes and just a couple pops on top. But it hit the spot.
I'm a fan of Fruity Pebbles. The boxes be so small though.
I know.
Never get a big box of Fruity Pebbles. Right?
I know. I don't even know if they make like a family size, but it still doesn't feel very big.
Like Frosted Flakes and Fruit Loops, you're gonna get big boxes of those.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're gonna get big boxes of those. I'm gonna tell you, I can mix in. I used to do this a lot when I was a kid. Rice Krispies and Fruit Loops.
Yes.
That was my mix in, man. That was like casserole of cereal, man. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay. Yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah, man. Well, cool, man. This is a great conversation. It's cereal talk.
Yeah.
I saw this meme one time, and it says, "It's the only black people stab their cereal 3 times before they eat it." You got to stab it with that spoon 3 or 4 times.
Right. Yeah.
Last question about cereal, though. Milk first or cereal first in the bowl?
It depends on which cereal you have.
That's the answer.
Like there's not a universal answer to that one.
No,
it
don't float. You just pour the milk in.
Right. Yeah. But it really depends on what cereal you have.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Same
Right here.
page.
Right in. Right in. Carol, this has been
Yeah,
fun. Top,
it has
one
been
of the
fun.
top ones so far, man. I think people gonna
Yeah.
love this.
Oh,
And,
well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot
yeah.
of fun. I didn't know what to expect, so I hope that I gave the audience what the audience wanted.
Oh yeah. All day, all day. So
Yeah.
y'all, this is Let's Talk About It with Friends. Today's friend was Carol, and I'm Herb. And so just remember, student health is still providing services, student counseling is still providing services. And so if you need us, reach out to us, and we will see you next week. All right.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Bye.